Hi, I'm Akash. I am co-founder and CEO of Cashfree Payments.
एक मिनट रुक जाओ, रेडी होने दो. चलो ये कर लेते हैं. दिस कुड बी अ ग्रेट इंट्रो.
Hi, I'm Akshay.
Hi, this is Saurabh, and you are listening to the Founder Thesis podcast. We meet some of the most celebrated startup founders in the country.
And we want to learn how to build a unicorn.
Have you heard of Stripe? It's a payments API company worth almost $100 billion. In fact, the most valuable unlisted startup in the world. This is not surprising because Stripe owns the plumbing of the financial system for the digital world. It runs the pipes through which money flows digitally between businesses and consumers. And as the GDP of the internet grows, Stripe's business also grows. And just like Stripe, in India we have Cashfree Payments, which is building the pipes for all types of payments related use cases. Akash Sinha started Cashfree Payments in 2015 after spending 2.5 years as a programmer at Amazon. They started by building an MVP to help restaurants accept digital payments for their home delivery orders. But soon after starting, they got incubated by PayPal and shortly after that by Y Combinator. And this was a game changer for them. Today, Cashfree Payments helps businesses to solve a whole range of payment-related problems through a platform approach. And this conversation is a masterclass on the payments business in India. Listen on as Akash gives a breakdown of various business lines of Cashfree Payments and their ambitious growth plans.
When we launched the platform, the version 1, we had 4 products. Right? We had payment gateway, we had payouts, we had auto collect, and we had a split payment.
Okay. Payment gateway, auto collect,
Payouts
and
a split payment.
okay. So payment gateway is the standard product which everybody else also probably had at that time, right? And payouts was what? Like a merchant can link the vendor's account, like the merchant can pay multiple vendors with a single click, something like that.
Correct. I mean, yeah, the larger use case was you can send money to anyone. It could be your vendor, it could be customer. But the use cases that we primarily support are around merchants sending money to their customer. Because a lot of products in the market are built in a way that they have to collect money from the customer. And once customer does some, work on the app, and then after a while, these guys have to disperse money back to the customer. Right?
Okay.
Take example of, say, a lending app. Right? On day one, you get loan from the business. And after that time, you have to repay back to the business. Right? Take example, insurance company. Right? Initially, you have to pay the premium. Then once you have to claim, once you have to get a claim, you get it back from. So there are a lot of such kind of use cases in the market. And these all are very new, right? These kind of use cases did not exist before 2014-15. They were in the market, but people are using older methods, right? Just to the use case. And just to add, so we created this product at a very right market, at a very right time. The timing was very good for payouts product. And that also helped us scale it very faster and into so many business categories.
Yeah. In what way was the timing right? That all of these business, like fintech businesses, were coming up, which had two-way payment requirement, like not just.
A larger digitization was happening. Right, and the scale was also going. Right, so your product works well when you have a higher scale. Right, I mean, earlier internet companies were not having such a high scale. That you just have to disperse 100 claims in a day. For that, you can just use manual process, create a file, upload to your bank account, and it will happen. But today's world of digital insurance companies, they have to process claim in thousands. Right, so the older processes cannot, help them. But the second is a lot of these processes which were manual also are error prone. Right, you miss a number, you miss account number, right, and either money can be sent to the wrong guy, or like wrong amount of money could be sent to the right guy. So both kind of things could happen. The third is whenever there was a failure, you can never know the right reason. Right, bank will simply say transaction failed. But you don't know what to correct. You just keep on applying your keep making a guess. Right, and it was very black box process for the businesses. Right. So yeah, in a lot of cases, these things will impact experience of customer. Right. Say if I am requesting for a claim and everything is processed from the company's end, Now, claim disposal itself, if it takes 2 to 4 days, right, customer will not be happy about it. Right, could be any operational reason. So that's why we people wanted to use this kind of product which works all the time, which has scale, which could be processed at high frequency. And that's why it's coming like popular.
And this was like a bank account to bank account transfer product.
Correct. So the way it works is businesses who want to use payouts, they have to park money in our escrow account first. And whenever they request for a transfer, we use that pool of money and send to the destination where they request. So when we launched the product, we only supported sending money to bank account. But over the period of 3 years, we added a lot of channels through which they can send money to, right? So they can also send money to a UPI address. They can also send money to a Visa and Mastercard, debit cards. They can also send money to wallets like your Amazon and Paytm.
Okay. And how does the data of customers' bank details reach you? Like the company would be collecting it in their own systems, and then that system will talk to you, and so you will know what is the destination.
So there are two again different kind of processes there. So companies who have to disperse money to the customers frequently, so they prefer collecting it from the customer directly. And whenever they have to do the transfer, they can send us a bank detail as part of the request. Could be API or could be the portal. But second, there are a lot of companies, right, who just have to collect the bank details once. Right? Example of e-commerce COD refund. Right, COD refund is not very regular. Right, in those cases, companies don't want to have the operational headache of sending email to the customer, right, getting the details and then sending to Cashfree. Or they don't want to create a UI just for this work. Right, it's like a lot of time investment. So we created a layer on top of payouts. We call it Cashfree. So as part of it, company can just tell us this is the phone number of the customer who needs money and this is the amount I want to send. Right now, Cashfree creates a unique link for that customer. We'll send it to their WhatsApp or SMS. The customer can verify their OTP and they themselves enter the details where they want to receive the money to. So they can enter the bank details. In the backend, we can verify whether bank account matches with the name of the customer, which company told us to send money to. Right? And once everything is correct, then we disperse the money within seconds to that customer. So this reduces the operational headache of the entire process.
Okay. Got it. Interesting. Okay. And how do you reconcile name with the account number? Like you can ping the bank.
Yeah. So there are some. So we can do that. There are some facilities through NPCI or UPI. So some channels are there, and we use those pipes to identify that.
Okay.
And moving on, and in the future, not future, I think we are also in the process of adding a bit more verification, right? Say insurance company can tell us this is the name and this is the, like PAN number of the customer. Or you have to, I think say, this PAN number should get this much money. So we can also ask for the PAN detail of the customer. We can also verify PAN details in the backend and then disperse the money. So we can do a lot of verification. But the idea was to how do I make the process effective, right? Not just the last leg of making the payouts. Right? So the entire process should be more on autopilot, right? As a business, this is not something which is part of product, right? This is something you want it to work, but you don't have bandwidth to spend time with.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So this is the payouts product. Now talk to me about AutoCollect.
Right. So AutoCollect is built on the entire bank transfer network which India has. Right. So even today, or actually 5 years back, there were a lot of businesses who wanted to collect money from their customer vendor through bank transfers instead of using payment gateway. Right. Largely because of two reasons. One is payment gateway, the charges were always in percentage. Right. And if you have to collect money of a higher ticket size, like 1 lakh rupees, 5 lakh rupees, that paying 1.5-2% is a lot of revenue leakage.
Right.
So a lot of businesses don't prefer that. And second, when you collect money via payment gateway, you get money settled into your account after 1 or 2 business days.
Okay.
Right. But many businesses who are very heavy on cash, they cannot pay it for in that much of time, like with terms of customer paying and them receiving the amount. Right. So bank transfer, even today, is a very popular mode. So a lot of businesses would prefer receiving money via IPS or NEFT instead of asking customers to pay via card or any other channel. Right. But the problem there is if I'm say running a large business, let's say if I'm Samsung or if I'm say any larger milk vendor like Nandini in Bangalore, right? I'll have a one account or I'll have 2 or 3 bank accounts at max, right? And I'll share the same bank account with all of my vendors who are going to send money to me. Right now, say assume every day you will get 10,000 credits from all the vendors. The money will hit your account and you'll have all the listing in a statement. right? But after that, your problem starts because you don't know which of these vendors have paid the money and what is the amount which they have paid. Right. So it becomes very manual process for this guys to just figure out who the customer was and how much money you have sent it. Right. At this problem, you don't see in payment gateway because payment gateway is more like a pull. Right. Before even customer make a payment, you can tag the payment to order ID, amount, everything is logged in. And as soon as payment is success, you know all the details. But in bank transfer, you are clueless, right? Unless you just do some manual work. So that was the problem we wanted to solve, right? And we thought instead of bank giving one bank account to all of their vendors, why don't we help these merchants and give unique bank account details to every one of them, right? If I have like 10,000 vendors, I can create a 10,000 unique bank account on behalf of the merchant, and it can be tagged to the right customer at the time of onboarding itself.
Okay.
And whenever that customer sends money to that unique bank account, then we'll know this is the customer. We'll also know the amount. And you can give these details in real time to that business. Right? Very similar to what you get. And they can also, update their ERP or system, and they can, go ahead with their dispatch of service or product. So this way we have cut down the entire process of reconciliation. Right? You don't have to spend hours or days just to know, who paid. And also they can do a lot of, verification as part of it. Right? If someone is supposed to pay 50,000, right, then you can make sure they cannot pay lesser. If they pay lesser, then we can reject the transfer, right? So that the guy has to pay again.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
And there are certain use cases where you want customer to send money to you from a verified bank account. Right? Say if you're buying a stock or any kind of financial product. Right? If I, as a customer, did my KYC, then I cannot use my parents' bank account or my friend's bank account to send money. Right? I have to use my own bank account. So those are the checks we can do as part of the process. Right? So business can tell us I should only get money from this person, and this account number should be the source. And we can detect these two details when we receive the money. And if there is any mismatch, we can reject the transfer without even bothering the merchant. Right? So they are foolproof, and we make sure the process is set up.
I didn't know it's possible to reject a transfer like a bank can. Okay, you can reject an EFT. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can reject all kinds of increment rejection. The rejection may not be very real time. So money may leave your account, but it will get reversed in an hour or so.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So how does the integration of this work? Like whatever ERP they are using, in that ERP they can do some integration where every time a new account is added, like a customer account or something, then a unique bank account is immediately created by Cashfree to give to that customer.
Correct. So there are two integrations they have to do. One is whenever they onboard a customer, they can make an API call to our system and will return a bank account number against that customer. Second is whenever we receive money from the customer, we send a webhook to their system. Now they have to just make sure they're handling a webhook to identify which customer is paid and what is the amount, and they can do. So these are just two integrations they have to do, which are very straightforward. And if they don't want to do the integration, we also support email, SMS. Right? If you don't want to have automation there, we also give them reports. Like end of the day.
Okay. And what kind of companies use this? Like obviously, companies selling investment products would be using it, right? Like that would be.
If it uses, a lot of fintech use it, lending company use it, a lot of B2B companies use it, like companies in FMCG segment. Right? They use it. Companies in DMT segment, they use it. So wherever you have a use case of receiving money of higher ticket size, right, and you want money faster.
Okay. And what is the fees here that Cashfree charges?
Fees is pretty similar to what you pay for NFT. It's in fixed fee.
Oh, okay.
It's not a percentage. Even you're sending, say, 2 lakh rupees, you just have to pay 20 rupees for it. But if you use a payment gateway, you have to pay 4,000 rupees just as a fee.
Right. Yeah.
Only problem here is someone has to push the payment, right? In payment gateway, it's a pull payment, so the flow is easier, right? In this case, someone has to push the payment. There are certain friction, but depending on the business, this would also work.
Right. Okay.
We also work with a bunch of larger edtech companies of India. So whenever they sign up their customer, and since the edtech deals are like annual, and they end up charging 50K, 70K, so they use this product to receive money from their customers.
Okay. So and they would probably prefer this to getting paid by card because again lower transaction fees.
Which is low transaction fee. Many customers may not even have card, right? That's also a problem. Right? Say if you get a debit card from a PSU bank, they all put daily limits on a card, right? You cannot transact more than 10,000 in a day.
Right.
There's a lot of challenges around using. Right. So to make sure payment products are covering larger, set of market, this is a needed product in the market, and this will stay like this for a good amount of time. See, there are countries, right? If you go to a lot of Western countries, so they are very predominantly having credit card, right? Since the entire economy runs of credit, right? So everyone can wait for 6 days, 7 days, just to get the money. But in India, a lot of businesses run on cash, right? It's a prepaid country, so you need cash realization much faster compared to waiting for a few days. And there we see a larger change in economy where everything moves to credit model, right? And this kind of product would be needed. Market.
But I guess something like UPI would have limited the scope of growth for this product, right? Because UPI doesn't have that 2% fees, and you can, you can identify that a reconciliation problem is also solved, right? If like an edtech company.
True. For B2C payment, you can use UPI. But two challenges. Limit is a challenge, right? In a lot of cases. Right? Sending 50K by UPI is not all the banks, allow you to do.
Yeah, that's true.
That is one. And second, if you're receiving money from businesses, let's say if I'm a milk distributor, most of my customer would be, say, shop owners, and they'll want to send money from their, company's account. You cannot link UPI to a company's account. Right? UPI is linked to a retail account to send money. So third is actually this product has grown a lot after UPI, right? Because earlier, before UPI, right, you had to log into a bank portal, you have to add a beneficiary and then make a payment. Right now, if you pick up any UPI app like Google Pay, PhonePe, right, you'll see an option to send money to any bank account. Right? So you don't have to go to a bank portal. You can just open a UPI app, enter the bank account number, IFSC, and you can send money instantly without being a beneficiary. So actually, after UPI, this has become a bit more popular compared to what we saw earlier.
And split payments?
Split payment is very valuable for anyone who's running a marketplace business. Right, so there are two kinds of internet companies you see. One which is very inventory-led. Inventory-led, it means the business itself is owning the entire inventory. Right, someone like Apple, right? If Apple is selling online, they are the one who's manufacturing it. And then you have companies like Amazon, Flipkart, who are marketplaces and who have all kinds of sellers on their platform, and they are just also facilitate marketing, logistic payments, but they don't manufacture or own the product. So now when a marketplace is receiving order from the customer, right? As a customer, I can place 3-4 products, at a time, right? My order could have products, and all those products could belong to different sellers, right? But as a customer is only making a one payment because, that's how the model is, right? So that we payment of 10,000 rupees to leave the marketplace. Now the marketplace has to distribute the 10,000 rupees among 4 different sellers, right? Because those are the products I bought. And also they have to, keep their commission out of every deal, right? And every product would have different commission, right? So an electronic item could have 10% commission, right? The books could have 50% commission. These are just examples I'm taking. Actual numbers could be different, but commissions vary, right? And just to manage the entire processing of payment, distributing the sale is also a very tedious task for a lot of these businesses, right? And there is also one more, larger picture as per RBI guidelines. Right? When you're running a marketplace, you cannot bring your customer money into a current account. You have to open a special kind of account with a bank, and that account gets audited by RBI every 3 months.
Okay.
So you have to open a nodal account, right? Customer money comes to the nodal account. You do a calculation of the commission, and you use that nodal account to send money out to the sellers. And you just bring your commission back to your company's current account. Right? Okay. So there are 2 challenges. One is operational, second is regulatory. Right, and these 2 challenges are like an uphill task for a lot of mid-level companies. Right, someone who is very large can afford to do by putting, say, 20-member team, right? And again, even for them, it's not very easy to process, but they can still fight this kind of battle. But someone who is slightly smaller, right? They cannot do both of the work, and they cannot adhere with the SLA. And thirdly, this is not something which aligns with the business growth at all, right? By doing great job at this work, I cannot acquire 4 customers, right? So this totally doesn't align with the place where they want to invest their time and energy. Right? That's where a split payment product comes in. Right? You use Cashfree payment gateway, and whenever the order is being placed, you tell us which all sellers are part of this order and how much money they should be getting out of this order. So marketers can tell us, seller A should get 30%, seller B should get 40%, seller C should get 20%. And whatever is left out is my commission. Now, once we receive, say, 100 rupees from a customer, and when we have to settle the money, we'll look at this logic again. We'll create, 4 different pockets of this for the customer money, and we can directly send money to the sellers from Cashfree's, nodal account. So this way, seller is being compliant with the RBI guide. And second, they don't have to take the operational headache of sending money to their sellers on time. Right? So marketplaces can adhere to their SLA, they can adhere to the compliance, and they can focus on more productive tasks, which grows their business.
And they don't need to run a nodal account because
Exactly. Because Cashfree is managing. Right? So they're not touching the customer money even in this scenario.
So this would be like an add-on to payment gateway. An e-commerce company using Cashfree's payment gateway can take this as an add-on.
It is add-on, focus add-on, and even we have certain more features for it. If you are collecting COD payment from the customer, we can still make this product work, right? So that you have the end-to-end split of all. But still, there's a COD order. We can do the computation, and you can fund the account to send money to the seller. So there are ways to use it for all the orders, not just for the orders.
Okay. Do you have some product for helping in COD also? How does COD work typically? The delivery boy is taking cash. How does that become digital?
So it's largely managed by logistic companies, right? So all the logistics companies, they receive the money from customer, and then they reconcile it, send it back to the marketplaces. So we are not there in the last leg of the COD because the entire thesis of Cashfree is to have a Cashfree policy.
Yeah. Right.
And we cannot, morally create product which enables more cash. Right. But having said that, we still work with few of such logistic companies. So when cash hits their account, then they can use a payout system to send it back to the marketplaces who work with them.
Okay.
So in that capacity of the process. And second, we also play a role on the COD refund, which I just mentioned. The customer has purchased something COD, now they're requesting for refund after 4-5 days. We can help you make the journey simpler and do that for the customer.
I've also seen sometimes when I order a COD product, I get an SMS with a link that the delivery boy is on its way, and if you want to pay digitally, then use this link. Is that something that you also do?
We do with logistic companies. And we're also thinking about certain product around how do we reduce the COD. Because if you look at COD as a market, customers don't pay COD because they don't know how to pay online, right? That's not the assumption there. All of the customers, if you look at places like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, I think any internet user, knows how to make online payment. But the challenge is they're not sure about when the product will reach.
It's a trust gap.
A trust gap is much higher if you shop from any website. But if you shop from Amazon, Flipkart, these guys are very scalable, the entire mechanism to address complaint, mechanism to inform me when there is a delay. But a lot of the smaller companies don't have an infrastructure to do a great job there because they're very young. Right? And a lot of such younger companies see higher COD orders because customers don't have trust. So we as a payments company are aware of this challenge, and we also are working on certain solutions which can help to reduce the COD. Right? Something like Cashfree as entity can establish some trust so that customers would be encouraged. Like
a escrow kind of a service, like it stays with you until the product is delivered or something like that.
Something like that, but again, we also want to make it more friction-free, right? Because if as a customer, I know I just can press a button and order will be get placed, right? So I may not even take the effort of putting escrow unless there is an incentive involved, right? So we have to make it more like like incentive-driven scheme. Right? Instead of just because behavior change would be hard if customer doesn't have order. But that's a big enough problem to be solved, I think. I'm sure many companies are trying to do that. Right. We will also have our own approach, and eventually we may reduce the COD. Actually, see, after the pandemic, COD protection has reduced because no one wants to give cash to delivery boy. Right? But there is one phenomena emerged. So these days, when you place a COD order, no one pays cash when they're receiving, right? Everyone uses UPI to pay for it. So people are paying digitally on the doorstep. So even if we call it COD, it's more like digital payment.
It's more like POD, like pay on. Right. Mm-hmm.
So that's the model. So even there, we have seen a lot of companies giving hardware POS machines to the delivery boys. That you might have seen, right? They'll bring the And there they have a challenge about signal, right? They have a challenge about maintenance, right? Imagine you have distributed 10,000 devices in the market. If 50 of them become faulty, right? Then you have got deliverable, bring it back to my center, I'll fix it, give it. That's a big headache. And signal is a big problem, right? A lot of high sides, like high rises build it, right? You don't get strong signal, even though you have signal on your mobile phone. Right? So we have built a product to address this challenge. So Cashfree has built a solution called Cashfree ePOS. Right? As part of it, you can just install Cashfree app on your Android mobile phone, and you can accept card payment from any customer of yours. Right? So basically, you install Cashfree app on Android phone. Customer, there is only one requirement: customer has to have a card which is NFC enabled, right? And if customer card is NFC enabled, they can simply tap it, right? And payment will go through. So this reduces the entire thing of distributing so many hardware, right? No maintenance limitation, no signal issue. Okay, so we have also done a workaround, right? If customer doesn't have an NFC enabled, we also give a very small device, which costs less than $10, right? And 600 rupees. So you can also carry a small device that is connected to Bluetooth. That customer can dip their card on that.
Yeah, which is just a card reader.
Very dumb card reader, right? And which is like one-time cost, like 600 rupees, and no maintenance. If it breaks down, you buy a new one. It is a very simple concept. So the point is hardware costs around 50,000 rupees, right? I mean, that's a lot of investment, a lot of capex gets stopped. So this is also been released very recently, right? So today we can support tap and pay from, like RuPay card, Visa card. And this quarter we'll do a slightly bigger launch. And we hope to bring a change in the entire pay on delivery market. But because I don't think behavior will change a lot very fast. People will continue to pay on delivery. Just that if you can make it more digital, then still it's a good thing for the economy, right? You can have trace everything. It's also a big convenience for the customer.
For this ePOS, the customers would essentially be logistics companies, right? Like, I mean, they take care of collections.
What is last mile delivery? But we use it in a lot of different kind of moving problems, right? Say if you are organizing events on offline stage, and a lot of people are queuing to buy a ticket, right? So if you just have one machine, you will have a very larger queue, right? But if you can give, say, this have to 10 of your volunteers. So volunteers can just create as many stalls they want, and they can accept the payment. So we can really make it useful in a lot of use cases where there's a queue problem. Right? If you pay your visa fee, if you pay your school fee, right? Everywhere. Because there is a supply issue. I mean, as a business, they cannot have, pick and max of two hardwares. And if you go to the restaurant at times, you have to wait for 5-10 minutes just to get a card machine in front of you. Right? Because they cannot deploy. And with this solution, they can give this app to all of their waiters, all of the servers. And servers can bring the bill and bring the card machine, that time without any lag.
Got it. Okay. What other products are there that we've not discussed so far? We've discussed payment gateway payouts, auto collect, split payment, and ePOS.
Payment gateway we haven't discussed, I think. I just like to spend a few minutes. So payment gateway from outside looks like a very simple, straightforward product. But underlying, movement, payment gateway is one of the most complex product in payments. Right? I'll just put it on record. It's just much more complex in the backend because you have to deal with so many payment modes. Right? And a lot of these payment modes will keep on changing. Right? Everyone will upgrade their system. They'll have their own downtime. Right? So job of a payment gateway becomes very important in terms of how do I keep everything active all the time? Right? How do I have more backups? How do I be ready with any kind of upgradation? Right? So that end merchant doesn't have to worry about any changes happening in work. Right? It's something like, imagine it use a, like Uber kind of thing, right? You don't care which car will come. You just want, to have someone to send you from a restaurant, right? Same thing expecting a payment gateway. I don't care what you use in the backend. I just want to receive money from the customer. Right? Now you do the hard work. As a right wing, I cannot say, I have less number of cards or, my car is broken. So I cannot send excuses. Right? Similarly, we also can't have excuses. There is a downtime with this pipe, so I can't process the transaction. So we have to do a lot of heavy lifting in the backend, right? Make sure, things work all the time. Plus, we're also working with a lot of features which will, give delight to the customer.
Like, give me examples.
Yeah, so if you talk to any internet companies, like today, 50% of their queries are around money. Right? Either I have paid the money, my bank has been debited, but you haven't accepted my order, or I've requested for a refund. Where is my refund? I cannot trace the refund. Right? Or there will be issue around, dispute or anything. Right? So more than 50 to 60% queries just around money. Right? And if you have to, if as a company you have to entrust a user, then I have to solve the money problem. right? Because that's where the complaints are, right? 60 complaint is a huge for an e-commerce company, right? If I can solve money problem, then I'll have more trust. I'll have, more LTV from the customer, and I can have a, good brand in the market. So today, if you think about any internet company with a good brand, right? Number one thing people can say, I feel safe with them, right? Because my money is safe with them. Right? It's not about they give me a great product, right? A lot of people give great product, but they're very comfortable, say, whatever names you may take. Right. And this is something we want to. So we added a bunch of things, right? We created an instant refund product. We created a faster reconciliation, right? If customer couldn't pay within 5 minutes, then we'll just, if you couldn't accept the order within 5 minutes of payment, then we'll refund the transaction automatically to the customer so that they don't have to come to you and place a customer query, right? And if they have requested for a refund without receiving a product, then you can send it out within seconds instead of, processing through your internal, all of verticals. Right. So normally what would happen, the customer will send request to customer service agent. Customer service agent will raise a ticket to the internal finance team or internal operations team. Much enough work.
If you like to hear stories of founders, then we have tons of great stories from entrepreneurs who have built billion-dollar businesses. Just search for the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming app like Spotify, Gaana, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the show.
So this can be made like completely self-service, like a customer just says cancel order and
Exactly. The system can detect, you haven't dispatched the service, just initiate the refund. Or just make an API call, initiate the refund. Customer will get money within 5 seconds. Right? So we have things around instant refund, pre-authorization. So we have built things around
what is pre-authorization?
Pre-authorization is for normal payment gateway, right? So when you are placing order as a customer, my accounts get debited and it is on the way to hit the merchant account. And next day, merchant will receive the money. But in pre-authorization, we don't debit the customer account. We just block money in their account. Right? So money never leaves your account. Because there are certain use cases or a lot of use cases where, you want to debit the money when you have actually, given the service or product. Right? Take example of the airline industry. Right? Or say in general travel, right? So travel industry sees a lot of, cancellation, same day cancellation. Right? You have booked a flight today, but by end of the day, you feel like, for some reason I cannot do it, then I'll request for a refund. So in older cases, since money has left your account, the refund will go through its own cycle. Right? And this is I'm talking about before even we release instant refund as a product, right? This is pre-instant refund era. Right? It used to take 5 to 7 days, right? Even though you have cancelled the order on the same day. Yeah, with this pre-auth technology, right? I mean, since money has never left the account, what I have to, I just have to remove the block which I put in customer account. The customer has the money ASAP. Right. Second requirement is when you check in a hotel, right? Hotel will simply put a block on your card. Right? I mean, you must have seen it, right? And whenever you keep on, ordering whatever you want, end of the day, they'll just debit what they need and release the rest of the money. So we have a lot of similar requirement. In online world, we do not have such kind of product. Right. And we are the first company to, make it available. I mean, this was supported by Visa, Mastercard for a long time, but in India, this was not something online PG used to support in the market. So even though we started PG as one of the latecomers, right, but because of all this innovation, we have been able to give a very great experience to the merchants in the market, right? And that's why we have been able to succeed even in this very crowded PG market, within a span of 4 to 5 years. And the theme is look at the market, understand what customer problems are, build features, support it, and then send to businesses. Because at the end of the day, businesses listen to what the customers ask from them. Yeah, and that is a way to grow this kind of B2B2C product.
Okay. How do you collect requirements of customers? Like you're saying that listen to what they want and build it for them. What is the process of listening?
First part of payments is everyone, even I am a customer of payments, right? So I can relate with a lot of requirements which I see on day-to-day basis, right? And try to fix it. The second is obviously there might be certain services which I do not use at all, right? So in those cases, we talk to those merchants, we meet with them frequently. Right? They can ping this. At the end of the day, we just need customer feedback, right? So they can also bring market feedback and saying my customers are looking for this kind of solution. Right? Can you do something around it? So these are 2 ways we understand the feedback. In a lot of these cases, we ourselves have built a solution because we had an understanding of the market, and this is a very universal requirement. And then we went back to the customer See, in the larger setup, you have to build an innovative product. You cannot wait for a customer to come and tell you this is what I need.
Yeah, if you spot a gap.
In the market. This is what we did, right? Be it payouts, be it auto collect. No one, came and told us this is what we need. Because how can you imagine a product around a problem, right? That's not people can do so easily. Right? In best case, they can tell you the problem, but they cannot imagine a product around it. And that's I think that's the job of most of modern tech companies. Right? And this is something a lot of companies are doing, right? Look at Intel, look at someone like Qualcomm. They're not waiting for someone and coming and telling, give me fast CPU. Right? They already know the data usage is increasing, spam increasing. I have to create a fast CPU. Similarly, we also track a lot of macro trend, right? How things should be after 5 years, right? How the behavior will be. And we have to start preparing early for that.
So one concern I've often heard from founders of D2C businesses is failure rates in payment gateway. So, what can you talk to me on what are like industry norms of failure rates and what you're doing to improve that?
See, failure rates have happened due to multiple reasons. Right? Imagine you're a D2C company and selling to a tier 2, tier 3 city. Right? So in India, a lot of, this entire card different system is not homogeneous. Right? If you're receiving card from certain bank, right? So a lot of banks keep online usage disabled by default and customer is not aware of it. Even you try 10 times, right? We will never get authorization or debit their money. So that's where we see issue. Second issue is because of 2FA, right? OTP may not reach to all the customers at once for time, and there will be OTP expiry. Right? So third is card get declined because of risk nature of the customer. So if you're just having 5,000 rupees in an account and you try to make a 4,000 rupees of payment, which a lot of banks don't see as a usual activity. So I just took an example. Every bank has their own risk rule, but that's the reason we see a decline, from the bank. That's so it. So these are something which a payment gateway cannot solve unless they own the entire end-to-end system, right? So which is it's not very feasible, right? But what we can do is offer a lot of modes, right? Even though my card is failing, right? I can still use UPI, I can still use Paylet, I can still use wallet, and that's how we can try to increase the conversion for people. So right, by giving them more option. But there are challenges in the market which we cannot control it, right? Unless there is a very increase in awareness in the market. Which is not the case today, right? Even you can just do a survey top to even tier 2 city, right? They cannot know if they can use a debit card online, right?
Right. And what are like typical industry norms of failure rates, like for e-commerce kind of transactions?
I think for credit cards at Cashfree or acceptance rate is more than 86-87% for standard card transactions, right? And if you remove this customer problem, then it's upward of 95-97%. Right? Because these are the errors we cannot solve.
But are there also like technology related errors, like he entered the OTP but for some reason it failed, and these are like mysteries for
that's why few payment gateways are better than the others, right? So few payment gateway can build a better technology, they can have more atomicity around transaction, right? They can handle large set of transactions at the same time. Right? Suppose you have to handle, 10,000 transactions, in a minute, right? So a lot of times system and payment gateway itself fails. I can onboard as many customers because that's a work, right? But if the technology cannot support so many concrete transactions, I cannot process the transaction. So a lot of times this transaction get declined at PG itself, payment gateway itself, and then customer has to redrive. And that is where we can do the best job and reducing that gap as much as possible. But second is, PGs can also, predict when transaction is going to fail, right? This is what we also do. Right? Suppose I know State Bank of India or any Bank of India, right? It's not working good for last 2 hours. I can always go and tell customer upfront, right? Since you have this card, and normally customer may have 2 or 3 cards back. You can tell that instead of using card of this bank, you should use card of some other bank. Right? So by doing those, predictive work, we can, increase the conversion for TTD.
Okay. You said more atomicity. What does that mean?
It means, say, what the transaction is happening, right? Once you get a confirmation, your system should, able to listen to confirmation. Right? Because these are very asynchronous processes. Right? When this confirmation is coming and your system couldn't read it, then that in these cases, customer account has been debited, but your system couldn't capture the transaction. Right? And even those cases, order will not get confirmed. So you have to make sure whatever transactions you have initiated with the card scheme, you are in position to listen back to the request. If you don't, then false debits would happen. Account will get debited, but orders will never get placed. You might have seen it, right? When you come back to a page and you say, page not found, or something went wrong.
Yeah. Something went wrong.
But
Yeah.
system couldn't listen to the feedback. And then you have to get into this entire process of refunding the transaction or asking merchant to approve it. And then this all, spoils the experience.
This is like a problem that you can solve by having a good tech team. Like, this is a talent issue.
Yeah, talent is starting good, but it's not something you can build overnight, right? You have to understand all these problems, right? You should have insight of data. And this takes certain time to have a very standard and stability. And this is something you have to keep on improving, right? Because the traffic is growing, right? If tomorrow traffic is 100% more, right? I cannot use the same system. So I, as a company, have to keep on revamping my system, which we at Cashfree have done it. Right. I mean, back in 2015, 16, we had very, standard system. We are, making more modular, more subscription architecture, having more fault tolerance around all the systems, like even separating databases for the systems.
How does the data help you reduce failure rate? Like you're saying, like the more data you generate, then you're able to identify that, okay, this is a point of failure, and then you're able to investigate and fix it.
So we can predict, right? So there is one thing we have noticed. So when you process transaction, you work with one of the acquired banks, and card could belong to any of the issued banks. Plus, what we have seen at times, acquired bank may not have up-to-date knowledge about the issued's card. Right? Suppose, just as a very example, right? Suppose SDFC has started issuing card with a new serial number, right? Whenever you get a 60-digit card, first 6 digit or 8 digit defined, we call it BIN, right? If a bank starts issuing a card with a new BIN, and if the acquired bank hasn't updated their BIN database, right, then they'll say this is not a valid card number. I cannot send it to for further processing. Right, so this is the information we have to keep on track. Right, we can see, this bank is not honoring card of this bank, because of these reasons. Then we look for this kind of card. We should use a different acquired bank who has updated in the this is something we can only know by processing transaction and by looking at failure. And that's where the entire data science or, bit of intelligence helps. Because this happens such a low, set of people, right? You cannot see a pattern.
Right. Okay.
And by doing these small changes, we can improve conversion by 2% or 3%. I mean, not very drastic, but because it still is a big enough for larger customers. Especially, I think the problem with a lot of D2C companies who are smaller branded, every payment is very important for them. Right? Because since in the process of growing a brand, you cannot afford to lose even a single customer. Right? One, that is very motivation. Second is you have lost one potential customer. Right? You have lost the entire ability to have a larger marketing around that customer.
Right.
You can build a great product, unique product, but if your customer are able to buy it, then you're not getting anything out of it. So that's the problem. We also understand. So larger companies know all the process about payment, they can optimize. The smaller companies have less knowledge about payments. And that's why we also do additional job of educating them, telling them how to use the payment product so that you can have most of the conversion out of the orders you're getting.
How do payment gateways compete with each other? Is it on the pricing? Is it on the failure rate? Is it on the sales team, which is going out and acquiring? Or is it on the value-added services and products?
Yeah.
Like, what is the way in which payment gateway companies are competing?
See, one is the way payment gateway is being delivered to the customer, right? See, if you look at 6-7 years, all the payment gateways companies look similar. I just had one product you sign up. And then they used to compete on conversion rate, pricing, customer service, which are true today. But today, if you are starting a internet business, right, on day one itself, you'd have 3 to 4 kind of payment problems which you want to solve before even go to the market. And if you go to a company which just has one product, right, then you still have to find more partners to solve other payment problems. Right, but that is something you can solve by signing up on a payments platform like Cashfree. Definitely, you get a good world-class PG, but you also have 4 other products which you can use to solve all the problems on the day one. And that's where in today's market, most of the merchants are going to a company who has a platform approach to solving payment instead of just a single product. Right? And that phenomena is around for last few. That's why you see, right? I mean, wherever you see a payment gateway, most likely they are a payments platform company, not just a PG company.
Right. Okay.
Right? So that is the one differentiating factor, and that's where 90% of the market is out. Right? Only 10%, right? 2 or 3 players have this kind of approach. Right? The rest of the market don't have the approach because of many reasons. They could be very early or they couldn't innovate on this side. And after this change, then see, it's See, the first I can draw like analogy with the entire phone market, right? Like, it's just a buying feature. Phone, you also want to buy a smartphone because you want to do multiple things. That's what people think these days, right? Even if you go out for the shopping, you prefer to go in a mall because you can find a lot of shops. But it's too. So that's where I said, like, 90% market, gets out, only 10%, survives. And then after that, you have the problem about conversion, pricing, customer service. And that is something which is dynamic, right? So few PG could be great in certain segment, right? Because they might build something unique, few PG in great segment, because India is very diverse market, right? I mean, things move very different. And payment is like a language, right? What could work in North India will not work in South India, right? Because they're different kind of situation and also geography, right? When we started working with few international companies, I mean, they move much faster than what people can move at, right? They are extremely low in patience, right? You just work with someone in say Hong Kong or Singapore, right? They just want things to be done in the blink of eye. So that puts a lot of pressure on you about improving the process, right? Making things more efficient, making things more self-serve. And that's how companies start creating abilities about this. So we as a company are very focused on internet world, right? Very focused on markets which are discretionary, right? Because those market has higher demand, right? Because since if you're buying for discretionary product, right, your chances of dropping is higher. So that's where you have to do a lot of good job as a payments company to convert that customer. Right, versus for a non-discretionary thing. And suppose you have to make payment for your water or electricity, you'll pay it anyways. Right? There are almost zero charges for your, like defaulting unless you don't want to pay, right? Unless the intent is zero. Right? So we want to be on the internet world, we want to be on the discretionary side of the internet world because that market is larger, that market is more rewarding, that market is also growing very fast. So every company creates their strength, whatever is comfortable to them, whatever is macro strength, and that's how the market is being split today.
Are there still differences in pricing? I would have thought pricing would be like uniform across all PGs.
It's very standardized. Might be 5 to 10% for various reasons, but very standardized.
Okay. So what are the numbers you track? Like, do you track like a GMV, which is like amount of payment transacted through you, or do you track like the margin that you are earning from it, or what are the numbers that you keep an eye on and you are like looking at on a daily basis?
So it gets defined from the product list, right? So again, the larger for any business, they want to track the bottom line revenue, right? And then they start going up, right? If I look at a product like payment gateway, where commission is in percentage, like if I process 100 rupees, we'll make say 2 rupees roughly. So there, if I track GMV, then I can also have some sense of revenue, right? If my GMV is growing, then I can say my revenue is growing, right? But which is not true with product like say auto collector payouts, which has a fixed fee pricing, right? Because pricing is not dependent on GMV. Even though I can say I'm processing GMV of 10,000 CR, but if I'm just getting it from say 1,000 transaction to 1,000 transaction, my revenue is not high, right? So those cases we track number of transactions that we process instead of GMV. Right. So GMV is not a right metric to evaluate any payment companies in today's world. Right. Because I can go and tell I do GMV of this much, but that's not translating to the business revenue, which is important for the company. Right? At times it becomes a vanity number. You have to really look at the product, right, and how the product monetization works, and then you can figure whether GMV is important or not. But largely for PG, GMV is important. But for other products, number of transactions in our reported fund, this is what we track depending on the product.
So what GMV do you do for the PG? Are you at liberty to share? Or?
Yeah, I think we share it. I mean, on an annual rate, we do upwards of $25 to $30 billion. That is what.
And how does that, where does that rank in the industry? Like, are you in the top 3, top 5?
On products that we started, like something like payouts, we own 60% of the market of API payouts, right, in terms of number of transactions. On PG side, despite being the late interest, we already are in the top 3 that we see. Right, there are few other players who have a very big tailwind, but we are able to grow fast. We have been growing 100% year over year, and very soon
top 3 would be like Razorpay and who else? Like user.
But again, because the stories in these companies are larger. But if you look at anyone starting business today or anyone start business the last 1 year, right, I think majority of the customers Cashfree would be a payments partner. It's just that they have larger window, they have a lot of customers, they acquire this volume, but we are in the position to acquire all the new market, whatever new market is being created. And new market is doubling very fast, right? So if I acquire 50% market, which is being created from now till say 2025, then my volume share will automatically be much larger than the older player.
Right. Okay.
So we are moving in that direction. There's not something we can change overnight, but with time, I think we'll keep on going up. And we'll have leadership in PG also at some point of time.
Okay. And what is the revenue contribution among these products? Like,
so platform very diversified. Obviously, payments today contribute around 80-85%. And we have a bunch of non-payment products in the market, right? So we haven't discussed about identity product. So this is a non-payments product. So any business wants to verify bank account of their customer, PAN of their customer, GST of their customer. They can use this identity product.
Okay. Like once somebody uploads the document, then there's an API call which sends the document and the details, and then the data sent back is verified or like not
real time. Through API. Then we have a bunch of valued services like instant settlement. Right. So again, this works with PG, right? But we track this revenue separately, right? So as part of PG, you get money after 1 or 2 days. But with instant settlement, you get money on the same transaction.
Okay.
But recently, we launched
you'd have to pay some extra fees for that. Like
exactly, if you want to check any faster. And recently, we have launched a new set of product called Banking as a Service. Right, and this is something you have built for platform, neobank, or anyone who wants to give embedded banking to their end customer. So imagine I am a seller like Amazon, and I'm onboarding as seller on the platform. Right, if seller doesn't have a bank account, then Amazon has to ask them to go to this bank, create a bank account, then come to me, because without bank account I cannot disperse that. But with this kind of feature, Amazon is empowered to create bank account with seller in real time by using Cashfree in the backend. Right, so we have all the APIs. We are integrated with banks in the backend, so they can simply collect data from seller. They can call Cashfree API, give us the data, and we'll create bank account for them instantly. And also, moving forward, the seller can use Amazon's portal to send money to anyone, receive money to anyone. Basically, they don't have to go to their bank account to do such work. Right? Even if they need a loan, we can facilitate that. Whatever they need out of banking, right? We can facilitate it by being a layer between all these platforms and the banks.
Okay, so. This is like a pretty big product.
Very big. And this will be the largest payments in next 2 to 3 years. Right? It's entire neobank market. Today, if you have to start a neobank, you have to go and tie with a bank. And that gets almost 4 to 6 months of your time in just doing the backend plumbing work. And the worst part is you get stuck with one bank. If you want to change your bank department tomorrow, you don't have willpower to do the same work again. Right. So that's why we see a potential of creating like a platform where Cashfree will work with multiple banks. Right. You as a end user can just, tell us what you need. Right. And just integrate API. Right? You don't have to do any manual work here. You focus more on customer acquisition and creating feature which delights your customer.
So you're opening these accounts with any one particular bank or with multiple banks?
Multiple partners. And we also give option to these platforms to choose the bank, right? So we can also give option to the bank. So every bank has separate prospector in the market, depending on the geography, region. A lot of people can have their own personal history, right? If a bank is popular in my family, then I'd want to use that bank for the sake of knowledge.
And so for the KYC, how does that happen? Like banks need to do KYC before they open an account?
True. So these platforms can collect the KYC from the customer, or they can send them to some Cashfree link where they can upload it. Right. Once we have the KYC forwarded to the bank verifies everything, and then they can open it.
And that bank approval is real time, or bank takes some time to approve? Or
it depends on the type of account. So for savings account, there is certain process. For proprietor, there is certain process. For current account, there is certain process. Depends on the account. But see, there might be some manual link, but the best part is at the end platform, you don't have to worry about it. Right? Cashfree will take all the load on.
Okay. I want to talk more on neobanking for a couple of more minutes. So essentially here, the bank is just the custodian of money. All the other services which banks provide, like a passbook or all of those, essentially are now being provided by Cashfree in a digital format.
Yeah, I mean, we can pull the statement, we can show the entire ledger, but bank still owns the account, right? They will share the debit card. They will do the what the regulator.
Okay. Debit card is from the bank. It's not like a branded.
We're like a platform to helping bank distribute services faster in the market. and also helping this platform access bank service more like a layer, invisible layer. Right. Again, I'll go back to the smartphone analogy, which people understand is whenever you install your app on your Apple Android, right, you can choose a permission that you want to give.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, whenever we onboard a new platform, we can like control that permissioning thing. The bank doesn't want a platform to say, create account with debit card, right? So we can, like control such kind of filter, and we'll never let them create account with debit card. So they can just create account with say UPI attached.
Okay. So essentially, like neo banking is now becoming a plug and play option for any startup.
Exactly. So they can start.
They don't need.
So it can distribute. This is the need of the market, right? See, even though you'll have a larger portion of people who are a bank, right? Today we can say we 100 crores, like people who are in the bank, but they don't have right instruments to interact with the digital ecosystem. Right? At best they have a bank account, but they don't have UPI attached to it. They don't have card linked to it. Right? They don't have any kind of credit service on it. Right? So it's like they have an account, but they cannot be used banking. They're not active banking user. And that's why if you look at number of unique people in UPI, right? So it has exploded for last few years, but now it is not growing with that speed, right? Because whichever person could have used UPI, they're on the UPI, right? And UPI have around like 40 CR of people, 38, 40 CR. But if the banking customers are 100 CR, right? So maybe the rest of 55, 60 CR people are not even being part of the digital ecosystem.
Like a company in the dairy space which wants to open accounts for the dairy farmers.
They do, exactly. That aligns with the larger goal, right? We also have the ambition to be, like number one payments and banking platform in India. And that's why the product we are choosing is aligning with that larger goal, right? We're not in the process of building a lot of end user product, right? I mean, which a lot of companies start doing, right? But we want to stay like a platform more neutral. And that's where people can use platform power in a largest.
So what about customer service here? Like if they have a question about some transaction in the account, like normally you can go to your bank.
It will be more intimate. I think bank is there to give comfort to the customer, right? Because it's not easy for customer because a bunch of issues happened in the last 2 years, right? Banks going, banks up and your money gets stuck. So people want to know which bank we are using, and they should have an option to go to the bank all the time. Right?
And what about credit, like credit card or lending? How does you enable that?
That's part of it. We will do that, right? Once we have the account linked, then we can give customer the choice. We can even work with NBFC partners, right, who want to lend to such kind of customers. Now we have data, we have a lot of profiling, right? We can just enable these processes.
So because you have visibility on the bank account that how much money is coming in every month. So based on that visibility of transactions in the account, you can then like offer that data to a lender for them to do their underwriting and then offer loans.
Sure, more in a structured way. I mean, we can go and tell them this guy is earning this much money, right? See, we don't have to tell them this is the money in the account. We have to give very structured. Right? If I go tell them this is a teacher who has 20,000 rupees per month, looking for a personal, right? Then it's very useful because I know this guy will keep on earning. And given that it's a teacher, the willingness to pay could be higher. Right. So these are the data you can expect from this.
The account issuing bank itself can also issue a credit card if needed. Like you can enable that, like credit card link to.
If they're comfortable, if they have all the data, they can. But in a lot of cases, a bank doesn't have all the context, right? They don't know which company I'm working for. They just know I'm earning this much salary. Right? They don't know which city I'm. See, I have opened bank account many I've but I'm working Bangalore for the last 10 years. And they don't know about it. If they know about it, then they can do a lot of things for me. That's a bank also.
Okay. So this would essentially, the reason for banks would be that their investment in technology integration and all is coming down because you are taking care of that for them and helping them to work with not just one neobank, but multiple neobanks.
So the larger advantage for them is distribution. So they can distribute with confidence. Right? They don't have to do a lot of qualification in terms of which partner they want to work with. Because we are adding a lot of security feature, we are adding filtering feature, and they can just keep working with us.
I want to understand how you built up Cashfree as an organization. Like, from 3 founders to what is the headcount today now?
Today we are a little short of 500.
So from that 3 to 500 journey, like I want to understand how did you navigate it? What kind of uh, decision making mindset did you have in terms of hiring, building up team? How did you structure the company? I want to understand that journey.
Right. So a lot of learnings have been discovered through us when we started the journey. See, when you start a new company, new product, right, on the day one, you need execution teams. Execution teams, you mean people who can write code and people who can set, right? These are the two execution teams, which still exist even for a larger company, right? The rest of the teams are supporting teams, right? So every company will start with these two set of people who can build product and people who can sell product or market product. So that is how we also started. We were just 5 people initially, right? So first we used to write code, two of us used to do sales and other stuff. So the idea was to get more executors. We did not start looking for a leader, right? We needed people, like go and solve X problem, go and solve Y problem. And that's how we started growing. Then after that, we got a first product person, someone who can think about what to build next, how to build next, and do a bit of operations around product development. Right. So before that, engineers were doing everything, but at times you need more eyes and you need a bit more structure around the way product has been built. Right. Then things grew. Then we got a finance team. Right. We needed someone who can look at the finance, compliance, audit, statutory reporting. Right. Then after all, we also got a designer. Right, because on day one, day two, we guys ourselves were finding open source designs, building it. And we had people who could write CSS, who can do small, like editing on Photoshop and all. So we were able to do that. But after all, we hired designer who can use Figma, Adobe, all those tools and make it more standardized.
Right. What was the split between the three of you, the founders?
So we were two of the founders. Yeah, two of the founders. And then we had 3 other guys who were, who joined us very early. So till YC, which was 2017 June, we were 5 people. Other three guys, I mean, 2 of them were again doing coding and 1 guy was for sales and distribution. Other than we do. For me, I think I've been writing code. I've been writing code. I built the first version of the product. And Riju was acting around, customers, like operations, talking to them. But initially, I mean, both of us were involved in the sales part, right? Because again, we have to do a lot of it. But he was more inclined towards, sales, marketing, operations, customer success. I was put into product development, engineering, and documentation, onboarding, right? Suppose kind of sector. Yes, as an entrepreneur, I think. So, as an entrepreneur, initial days you have to pretty much do everything. Like you definitely have to pick something which aligns with your core skill, and then you have to be open about everything else. Right? I mean, you don't have to say I need to find this guy to do it, and that's the way different between startup and larger companies come in, right? So the reason larger companies become slow because they always try to find the right person, best person for X amount of work instead of taking the first step. And this is where startups take a lead, right? So they don't wait for the perfect, individual, perfect type. They just do the job. It might be an average work, but it still helps them make an enterprise. It helps them create a buzz and get a validation of those ideas. Right? So as company becomes bigger, they shouldn't leave behind this basic essence of startup if they want to continue growing, continuously improve, and continuously compete with new startups.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if you ever heard the saying, or rather, something which Reid Hoffman, the LinkedIn founder, says that if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, then you've launched too late.
Yeah, it's pretty common. I think even WordPress founder also stated it's as a no, that is true. I mean, early days true. Right, early days true. That also tells you have a high standard. See, I mean, that is the small difference, right? If you're a great product builder, if you're working in a large company, you're already very shielded. It's more about ego shielding. And the founders, normally people who start a company, or the day zero, they have to really lower their ego, right? If you continue to shield their ego, then you cannot grow. And that is the entire point about being embarrassed, right? People who start with very high ego, it's not easy for them to get embarrassed. And that acts like a, entry barrier for them to start this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your hiring philosophy? Like from those 3 employees you had till 17 to 500 employees today.
So initially we used to handpick people, right? And initially it was very important to hire people who also want to learn with you, right? I mean, we have to find the people with the right challenge. So you want to have people who join company at a certain stage and they can also grow with the company. So these two are prime requirement, right? I mean, so normally what happens, either startup outruns the employee outruns the startup, right? If startup is not growing fast. In those cases, things stop working in a good way. So you need someone with good attitude, someone who is very inclined, someone who is very open to learn and willing to grow with the company.
So initial days, you were hiring more for hunger than for pure skill sets.
Skill set was important. I mean, I would not say you used to discount that. But other than skill set, hunger was definitely, we had to look. If hunger was missing, then, then people would just draw a line, right? Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And for other things, someone else will take care. Right? They want to work in a structure, which is not present in the startup, right? I mean, there are no lines, with no boundaries.
And how would you screen for hunger? Like,
best way is to find people in your network. So that way you'll have
Okay.
experience of working with them past years. Then you can go, like mutual connect, like a referral of your own employees.
referrals, right?
And once we grew beyond a certain point, we onboarded a technical recruiter who can do sourcing, onboarding.
And now, how do you screen? Like, early days, it was hunger that you were screening for. What is it today?
Still do the skill mapping. We try to find people who have worked at a company similar to a skill or higher. Right? Because we have become more, like future looking. So if anyone joins, they should be able to scale 5x than what we have.
So what is your organization DNA, if like I could use that term, something which would help a prospective job seeker to understand if Cashfree is for him or not?
Number one is definitely hard and smart working, right? If you're not willing to take up challenges. Second is, a bit of ambition. So that is definitely required. Third is important integrity, right? Which is because, what I think. Fourth would be humility. Right? We want to have a good culture where we don't push people unnecessarily. So humility is important. You should be able to take feedback. People, even senior people, should encourage questions from the report. Without that, we have to stop growing. So that's where you humility, integrity, and other stuff. First is definitely the right skill. Without that, everything else may not help you give the result. I mean, we can find all the other good behavior, but without skill set, you cannot bring result. But next is, if you're able to bring result, then can you influence, like larger set of people? See, any company, you will find 4 kind of people, right? This is what I read very early in my career. You'll have adders, subtractors, multiplier, and divider. So adders are the one who improve the company incrementally. So they are able to do their own job, but they are unable to influence very large part, which is okay. Then you have subtractors who are trying hard, but some reason they are unable to finish their own job. Multipliers are the one who are scaling the company, doing their own job, but also influencing in a very bigger way. Right? Say there is one engineer, right, who's able to train 5 other engineers and making everyone productive. Or there is one salesperson, right, who's getting 5 deals and also teaching everyone how to get, like 5 more deals on their own. And then there are dividers, right, which are very dangerous. Right? So dividers may not go around, and they also at times complain a lot and demotivate the largest set of people. Right? So in all these things, dividers are something company should avoid. Subtractors are one who you can go after, train them, and bring at par. Adders are good. I mean, definitely you need part of adders. And multipliers are you should really retain that the best way.
Okay. Do you have like some formal processes of managing people? Like, some companies use like OKR as a method of managing performance, and so how do you manage performance of 500 people?
You do have at this stage, you need a bit of formal process. I mean, you cannot just rely on the feedback. So we do have OKR process that we started recently. The idea is to start OKR at a company level, at a higher level, right? Bring 4 or 5 key areas and define the goals, right? Then these goals will be sent to all the department heads, and departments will create their own goals. And by looking at this larger goal, at times one goal of company could have more child goal across the department, right? And even goal of a department could be interlinked with a goal of some different department. Example, say if a marketing has to do some campaign, then their goal could be dependent on a product development team. So once goals are created, then it keeps on, trickling down, and it should hit the last set of people who are executing end of the day. Right. So that becomes more like a reference guide. I mean, it's not like people have to stick with that for 100% of the time, but that's a reference guide, and they will know what is most important thing. And they can also measure, their contribution, right? Without OKRs, measurement contribution becomes unclear.
So how did you figure out how to do performance management? Did you employ an HR head who took care of this and recommended the way forward, or is it based on your own personal research? And
At this stage, there are a lot of people in all respected teams. We started recruiting HR BPs like 2 years back. And today we have almost like 7 to 8 people in the HR position. So they also come from the industry. They come from industry like Flipkart, MetLife, Hotstar. And they've seen these kind of reviews in their own experience. And it's just that we have to implement in our way. OKR, again, is a very industry standard of company of our size. So implementation, execution, and also bringing, when someone joins at early stage startup, right, there's no formal review process. So they are very free to explore what they want. But after a while, once you start adding formal process, you also see some kind of friction in implementing it. So you have to take some time in implementing it, like convince people why this is important, right? And then that's how we have done it. So on the day one, we did not introduce for entire company. We started with senior people till a certain level, and then we went to all the level of people.
Okay. And so I want to understand how you do customer acquisition. And obviously it would have evolved over a period of time. So tell me about how it used to happen, like that pre-YC period, and how it happens today. How much of it is attributable to content marketing? How much is attributable to performance marketing? How much is due to outbound sales? Just help me understand that whole customer acquisition piece.
Sure. When we started early, our goal was to, again, we knew these are these set of businesses who are big in online, right? It's only e-commerce, food tech, right? And smaller SMEs. And initially, when we were small, we were also very inclined to go after the smaller merchants because we thought acceptance will be had. So we just simply, find websites, find contact of the owner of those companies. Like just call them out of the blue, tell them about this product and say, this is the additional thing I'm doing. And that's how we got initial set of clients, right? Initial like 10, 100 clients. And even before that, we used to meet a lot of these people in person, right?
Okay. So essentially like a lot of personal networking and reaching out. That was the early days.
True. Reaching out, you have to do a lot of cold calling, cold email also.
Yeah.
People do respond to it or reach out to people over LinkedIn. So that worked. And then once this working, then we started having sales team in place. So sales team used to create their own pipeline. Like they'll identify merchants who could use a product and they'll do the similar thing, like cold call, emailing and everything. And after we gained some traction, then we also started seeing leads coming to us, our own website. People would come Cashfree, sign them up, right, through word of mouth marketing, sign them up, create an account. We used to activate that. Right. So that's how the journey continued. Right. Then we also set up a partnership team. Can go after other software companies who has a payment use case. So we can just ask them to integrate our APIs and they can sell our APIs to merchants they are signing. Right. Example, say it was
like say Shopify.
Shopify is e-commerce, but the more example India would be say any accounting tool. So if you're creating a platform through which anyone can generate an invoice. So these companies can integrate Cashfree APIs, which can embed a payment link in every invoice they generate. Right. So here, these guys can onboard merchant on Cashfree on behalf of the merchant itself. And that's how we used to get the clients. Today, we have a very long, comprehensive process. I think we are very big in terms of inboards. I think every month we get more than 12 to 15,000 leads on the platform. And these are through all the optimization we did, SEO, SEM, content, video, PR, right? So all these have been scaled up significantly. So
Okay. So do you use some what is the CRM you use to manage 215,000 leads a month? Is like a very massive amount. So.
Yeah. So we use Salesforce. Internally. Again, that also has evolved. If you're using some other tool earlier, then we came to this is our third tool. But as the company have been changing its scale, right? We were also being a bit demanding in terms of the feature, in terms of ease of usage. So as of today, we are on Salesforce. That's what we use to manage. And that is where we track the status of the customer, right? So on the day when customer will be signed up status, then they might be on agreement stage, then they could be on active state. And we also measure how many products they're using at Cashfree.
Okay. And so for these inbound leads, is it like self sign up, or what is the process? Or like, does every lead receive a call, or how does the sales happen?
Doesn't have to be. So there are two ways you can sign up on Cashfree. One is you go through the onboarding form. You create your account, give us the email, phone number, your address, and upload all the relevant documents that we need for KYC process, right? Your CIN, GST. And once the lead comes in a pipeline, our business team or onboarding team goes through a business use case. If they find everything in place, they'll just activate the account and you'll get an email on the activation. Right. In other case, if you see you haven't filled your KYC or your business model is not clear to us, right, then our team will call you back, try to understand business use case from you in person. And once they're convinced, and then they'll go back and activate your account. The third mistake is you can just come and leave a lead, right? I mean, if you're not sure what products you need, right, you can just leave a lead in your phone number, email, contact, and someone will call you back. They'll understand, and then you can go and sign up. So these are three methods through which you can get contacted. Cashfree.
Okay. So this inbound traffic would essentially be small and mid-sized, right? Like, what about enterprise clients?
Yeah, so enterprise clients are mostly outbound. So we have an outbound sales team, and that team is again divided into multiple segments. So we have a team going after e-commerce questions. We have a team for BFSI. We have a team for travel. We have a team for education. We have a team for government. We have a team for utility. But even under these teams, we have sub-segments, right? So there would be team looking after North region and team on South.
Right.
So they create their own pipeline. They identify merchants, right? They use their own listing. So once they are ready with a roadmap, then they plan like this month I'll have to go and have 30 meetings, 25 meetings, right? And they try to sell products by understanding the problem. So it's more like consultative sale, right? We connect with the right decision maker. It could be head of finance, it could be head of product, it could be the founder itself with companies or slightly smaller. So we tell them, this is what we do and this is how we can help solve your problem, right? So before even talking to a customer, we do a research. We understand what are the solutions applicable to them, and then how can we help them by making that out cash free. Right. So for example, an e-commerce company can make the refund faster, right? So today, for any e-commerce company, 60% of the customer queries are around refund. The customer will come and shout, my refund hasn't been credited, or my account got debited, but you never delivered the product. Right? It's a common area. So that is one area we hit a lot. We go and tell them, using Cashfree, you can make refund very instant, very fast, and your support query will reduce. The customer will be more delighted, and they'll come back, to your website more and more. Right. Also, we sell high conversion rate because in e-commerce, I like often wonder if your payment, drops by 5 to 10%, then you lose revenue in the same proportion, right? So 10% revenue is lost. So there we go and tell them, I can help you increase your conversion, and that's where your revenue will, grow proportionally. So these two are pretty important for e-commerce, and this is what we sell. Right. For other industry, requirement might be different, right? For an insurance company, the requirement is they have to collect premium for their customers. At times they have to collect, every month or every quarter, depending on the plan. And they can also use a recurring, payments to do that. Right? They don't have to ask the customers to make payment every month, right? They can just set a mandate or some kind of debit card mandate, and they can debit their customers' account every month. Right. And also when it comes to dispersing that claim, right, they can again use a payouts API and send money to these guys within seconds instead of doing the entire manual process. Every industry has a different kind of value prop, and this is what our sales team get trained on. And when they connect, they share the solution.
Okay. So in your 500 headcount, how many are in sales? How many are in tech? What's the split?
So we'll have around 110 people in sales. So that again encompasses our inbound team, outbound sales team, account management, all three. And tech and product combined, we should have around 145, 150 people. So these two teams are largest. The largest internally. And then we have customer success and operations team. So these teams also combined would be 50 to 60 people. Right. Then we have marketing team, we have PR team, we have finance team, we have legal and admin, and we have HR and talent recruitment team. Right. And these teams are again having 30, 35 people each. Not all of them. I think marketing is fixed. PR is not a thing.
Right. Okay. So, my last question is to understand what's the roadmap now going forward. Like, what the roadmap in terms of what kind of products, what kind of diversification, a roadmap in terms of what kind of fundraise do you have planned? I want to understand that.
Right. See, the larger vision is how can we be best payments platform in India? How can, Cashfree could be one-stop destination through which a business in India can get all of the payments problems solved, right? That is the intention. And the advantage is businesses who are starting business today or who are already scaled up, right? They don't have to worry about finding new vendors to get their problem solved. Right? So we want to be in a position where we can predict the future. We know this problem could become bigger. And we want to start working on those solutions even today. Right. And we already have taken such steps. Right? One of the assumption internally we're making is payments will, scale 10x in next 2 to 3 years. Right. And for that, we have to keep investing in the infrastructure to handle such kind of scale. Right. And we already have started a bit of backward integration, the way we are processing payments today, so that we can be ready with any kind of scale once then the market becomes bigger and larger. Right. So similarly, we are also looking at more use cases. What is around say cross-border? But we believe in Indian economy has to become bigger, then Indian merchants will start exporting to the global customers. And for that, they need a very seamless cross-border money movement solutions. So that is one area we have started working on. The third is the offline payment. We still see offline payment is not smooth the way it should be. Right? People still have to struggle with the hardware, which is very expensive and not easy to maintain and not easy to operate. And it also has challenge around upgrading or bunch of stuff. So we're also coming up with software solution to help offline merchants be part of digital payment ecosystem and try to, give the payment experience the way an online merchant can give. Right? I mean, it should be as smooth. Right? So if you see offline payment acceptance hasn't improved in the last 15, 20 years, right? POS machines are similar to the way you must have seen in the early 2000s. So, yes.
Like I want to dig a bit into each of these. So you said you're doing more backward integration. What does that mean?
It means that today to process a payment, we still rely on technologies which banks provide, which third-party vendors provide. Right. So at this stage, we are trying to, build those technologies in-house. Right. Instead of, going and talking to third-party vendors, we want to have those technologies in our control.
What are those technologies?
I'd say there is one thing called payment switches. Right. With payment switch, you can directly go and connect with Visa, Mastercard, SPCA, but that is something not in our control. The downside is we don't get full visibility on what is happening with data. Right? If something is not working as expected, right? We don't know it's like a black box for us.
Okay.
Right? And at times it also limits our scale in terms of number of transactions we can process. Right? Because see, the problem is, right, a lot of these vendors are not building the product by looking at the market feedback. Right? They're just building the product, what banks are asking them to build. Right? So that's why the industry is not very uniform.
Okay. So a payment switch is essentially what makes a Visa or a Mastercard network work, or a
they connect with those networks. They connect with those networks.
Okay.
So there are a bunch of ideas, but the larger idea is create a single stop solution through which any payments platform, any payments problem you have, you can find a solution at Cashfree. And you can even, connect 2-3 products and come up with a workflow that works with your business.
Okay. And for cross-border, is it like a D2C plan where you're directly going to offer this to customers that do your cross-border payment? Like say, you're Wise. So like, are you looking at creating a competitor to Wise, or are you looking at something which will act as a back-end solution, or what? Like,
see, the target for us would be again the businesses, right? Businesses who are selling outside India or even international businesses who want to sell to India. So these are two target audience we'll cater. So all these products would be B2B in nature, right? If you're running online business and if you need to say accept card from 180 countries. So that is one solution you can use on Cashfree. Second is say if you're a SaaS company and your billing is going into say $500,000, right? Or sorry, maybe say $10,000 and say $10,000, right? So if you accept a credit card to debit your customer, you'll have to pay 3 to 4% of TDR. So instead of that, you can use wire transfer. Wire transfer just costs you $30 for the sender and for the receiver. So the plan is how can we add more non-card international payment method so that we can reduce the cost of, well, that acts as a hindrance, right? And that also reduces this competitiveness for this merchant, right? So also if you have to pay 4 to 5% TDR, right, you'll have to increase the product pricing by 5%. And the moment you do that, you become less competitive in that local market, right? So payment can help all these businesses, be more competitive in global market by reducing the cost, making this efficient and making things faster.
So what is this TDS clause?
TDR.
Okay.
And that is the cost you pay If you look at, say, PayPal, right? PayPal or all the international companies, they charge in the range of 4 to 5%. Right? Even if you tie with the Indian payment gateway, right? I mean, credit card pricing is on the higher side. But if you are debiting customer for a high ticket size, right? For $10,000 thing, right? I mean, 3% would be like what, $300. Right, so the $300 is significant, and it's much more significant for Indian merchant, right? For international merchant, for Indian merchants, it's a significant amount.
And how will you build this cross-border thing? Like, will you go to all the banks in other countries and do one by one tie-ups with them, or is there like some sort of plug and play option that you can plug into some?
So we are targeting few geographies through which we see a lot of export payments come in, primarily US and Europe, and we are seeing how can we integrate local payment method and provide more payment options to Indian merchant. Right? Today, Indian merchants just have credit card as a payment option to collect from the merchant. Tomorrow, they can have local wallet, they can have ACH, they can have SEPA. So a lot of these countries have their own internal, like clearing system. The way we have, IMPS, UPI, and NEFT, right? Not as fast, but they have something, which is again low cost in nature. Right. So we can create a global pipe of such unified payment collection display.
Okay. So you would like need to create a legal entity in each of these countries and then do an integration and.
But depends on the country rule. I think you can tie up with a bank by being in India, and that bank could be facing in this. So it may not be mandatory, but it depends on the case.
Okay. So this would be a competitor to Transferwise or Wise?
Again, this is the market itself is being created, right? I mean, Transferwise, again, I'm not sure what segment to go after, but for us, it's more after trade payment, right? So if you look at remittance companies, they are more towards gifting and more around hospitality, right? So trade payment is not something everyone offers today. So intention is more towards trade payments, for which in India, we don't have a lot of reliable player. Right? Because the market is historically small, right? But the market has started becoming bigger now. And our hunch is it will become bigger in the next 5 years. And it's like a chicken and egg problem. If you're not solved for payment, then businesses will not be encouraged to sell outside India, right? So we have to keep the solution ready first, and then businesses would be encouraged to take their innovative products anywhere in that.
I guess Transferwise is focused more on spending. Like you can spend in the currency of your vendor. Like a US company can spend in rupees using Transferwise, which is like the other approach to what you are looking to build. Got it. Okay. And for offline payments, like for offline merchants, what is it that you're planning to build?
Right. So the product is called EPOS. So today, offline merchants need to buy or rent a hardware machine to collect card payment. So that is the situation right now. So tomorrow, with a lot of new innovations done by this card schemes, right? They have come up with a technology called soft POS, right? So they have created a good small kernel. And we've created an app on top of it, right? So the way it can work for the merchant is if you have an Android phone with NFC capability, you can install Cashfree, like Cashfree EPOS app on your mobile phone. And now your mobile phone can act like a terminal. So if you have a customer walking into your store with a card, you can simply click on Cashfree app. Customer can tap the card on the phone, and the payment could be, processed. So this way,
the number of cards which offer that tap and pay is very small, no?
No, if you look at cards issued after 2016, I think all the cards are having NFC capability, right? And if you look at metro cities, the coverage is high. In absolute number, the market is 20%, but this 20% are the spenders, right? End of the day, they are the ones who use cards at stores. So the coverage is high. I mean, you can look in your friend circle, right? And or friends who go to the restaurant or buy on the websites, so their cards would be NFC enabled. So the coverage is significant. And now we also have apps like Samsung Pay, Google Pay, through which you can tokenize your cards. So even though your plastic card doesn't have any NFC capability, but if your card is in Samsung Pay, you can again use Samsung Pay mobile and tap it to our, like Cashfree EPOS app, and payment could be processed.
Okay. How does this happen? This tokenizing of card, like it stores the data and then.
It stores it and then they can emit the card data through NFC channel, right? So similarly, even your card, if the card has an NFC chip, they can share the data with the NFC receiver. But similar thing happens if you have card in Samsung Pay wallet or Google Pay wallet.
Oh, got it. Okay. Which I think in the US, this is like the prominent method, right? Like of digital payments, like the phone transfer. It's like a tokenized card on your phone. Which
Apple Pay is significant. In India, I think UPI has taken that lead. But still, I mean, card payment is significant. The volume is high. If you look at RBI data, I think in terms of volume, card is still largest in India.
And I think for this tap and pay, there's like a transaction limit, no, like 2,000 rupees, or it used to be something like that.
I think it's 5,000.
Beyond that,
Up to 5,000, you don't have to enter your PIN. Beyond 5,000, you have to enter a PIN. For that, we have a solution ready, right? We have very small hardware. For higher tickets, like you chip your card in hardware and PIN could be entered on the mobile phone itself. Right? So that's the workaround. But most of the smaller retail use case is below 5,000. Unless you go to a, like grocery store like Spencer or Spar, right? Or you go and buy electronics. So we have full coverage. It's just that for less than 5,000, it's more convenient. And beyond 5,000, you have to enter the PIN.
So for this merchant business, what is the plan? Because if you were actually to acquire small merchants, that would be very costly, no? Like in terms of the acquisition cost.
That's right,
You need a feet on street team. So do you want to go after that market, or do you want to stick to retail, organized retail like Spencer?
Correct.
So on.
Correct. So the intent is to start with, like chains, organized retail. And even there, we are not trying to, compete with this, like POS machine directly. So we have been finding use case where it's very hard to operate POS machine. It is especially your home delivery use cases. But in home delivery use cases, you cannot carry a machine, right? And these days, e-commerce is coming at home. Even a lab testing is happening at home. Even a lot of selling of insurance, education services are happening at home. Right? So all these agents, so wherever there's a moving agent problem, the solution is much better than the hardware. And easy to carry and easy to scale. If you have, say, 10,000 agents selling insurance, you cannot give POS to 10,000 people. That's not.
Right.
But you can give this app which could be installed on each of their mobile, and they can accept card payment when they are inside house of their customer.
If you like the Founder Thesis podcast, then do check out our other shows on subjects like marketing, technology, career advice, books, and drama. Visit thepodium.in, that is thepodium.in for a complete list of all our shows.
Before we end the episode, I want to share a bit about my journey as a podcaster. I started podcasting in 2020, and in the last 2 years, I've had the opportunity to interview more than 250 founders who are shaping India's future across sectors. If you also want to speak to the best minds in your field and build an enviable network, then you must consider becoming a podcaster. And the first step to becoming a podcaster starts with Zencastr, which takes care of all the nuts and bolts of podcasting, from remote recording to editing to distribution and finally monetization. If you are planning to check out the platform, then please show your support for the Founder Thesis podcast by using this link, zen.ai/founder thesis. That's zen.ai/founder thesis. 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 Thesis.